What's up, everybody? Yeah, we're back. Brand spanking new episode. Chat and Draw. Right now, today. Wait, you don't know what Chat and Draw is? You don't know who I am? Let me tell you. I'm the publisher of Short Fuse Media Group, founder of Freestyle Comics, one half of the good, the bad, and the nerdy, the most enthusiastic person in comics, aka going by the moniker of Super Mad Brother, Mike Watson, in the building today. Your host and every day that we have Chat and Draw. And I'm a little fired up, baby. I'm a little fired up extra today. Feeling real good today about our guest who we got on. Very awesome, man. And Case, let me finish this thing that we're doing here called Chat and Draw. Basically, we chat and draw. I talk to this comic book awesome person about their comic books and draw their character live on the show. And you ask questions. You participate in here. You make comments, ask questions, participate in our discussion, and we're gonna have a good time. Now, I'm bringing up here an iconic man, does work for the industry, is known for his work on Green Lantern, revolutionizing what we know Green Lantern to be for the 90s and moving forward. Teacher at the Columbus College of Art Design, my comic book father. All right? This man is awesome. Let's get to it. Let's bring him out. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you will today.
Here comes a new challenger!
DARRYL BANKS in the building, everybody!
Hey, everybody. I hope that intro has got you as fired up as it did me. I tell you, that was an intro. Thank you.
No problem, sir. No problem at all. So, DARRYL BANKS is a pretty cool guy. He did disappoint me one time though. I applied to go to CCAD, Columbus Cover Art Design. I saw, bing, that they had a comic book class that they were teaching. And I got there and everybody was telling me, DARRYL BANKS teaches the class. I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. And I get to class, there's no DARRYL BANKS to be found because he had already quit.
See ya.
But I still ended up meeting DARRYL BANKS. And now we are our comic book colleagues as we traveled out to comic book conventions together. We've been comic book convention neighbors at shows, and he gives me critiques and feedback on my work. I appreciate him very much and very excited to have him on this show.
Glad to be here.
DARRYL, if you want to go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you've done, what you're known for, go right ahead.
Well, I'm DARRYL BANKS. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, Buckeye State. Known for my work in comics, although I do all types of artwork, especially in the toy design, commercial illustration as well. I've been in the comic book industries, I'd say 30 years so far. I've spent about half a decade in the independent part of the industry and moving on to little DC and Marvel here and there, mainly penciling. Of lately, it's been digitally, especially with my last work with Green Lantern. That was all digital. So I'm a drawer. I draw good. I try to draw gooder. But hopefully people are familiar with my work and will join us tonight, and we'll do some fun things tonight.
Man, I'm so excited. I had a little pint of ice cream. All right. Now, we got Kyron in the building. What's up? Daniel Calvin is in the building. DJ Quick is in the building. And I don't know who that is, Seafood Kodiak, but he said woot. He's in the building. He or she is in the building. All right. Now, let me give a shout out to, let me see here, my Patreon members who you'll be getting your Patreon update this week. Let me see. Because without you, I do not have a Patreon page, so I appreciate it so much. So shout out to Andrew Duggan, Haley Dennis, Bradley Arney, Tom Kelly, and Unlikely Hero Studios. Thank you so much for being Patreon members. Like I said, the Patreon updates will be out this week. A whole pint. Well, I guess this isn't a pint. It's like a small shot. This is the only ice cream that I actually really, really love. It's called Dulce de Leche from Haagen-Dazs. And you can't find it anywhere in a full pint. So I guess this is like a fourth of a pint, 3.6 ounces. But it's the greatest ice cream you will ever ever taste. It's amazing. Danny J. Quick says, I met Mr. Bank at Heroes Con in North Carolina a couple years back.
Oh, it's a great show. I missed it. Oh, if only I could have gone this year. You know? Oh, that was painful. Not going to Heroes. I love that show. It's amazing.
Brad Arnie said Green Lantern is his all-time favorite superhero. Well, this is the show you wanted to turn into today, man.
It's the place to be.
We got Michael in the building here to support Daryl.
That's a friend of mine, Michael. Hey.
And cheers from Brazil. What's up from Brazil?
International going on. Oh,
let's get it in, baby.
This is great.
Kyra says, as a black artist, Daryl is one of the black creators that inspired me to try my hand at becoming a comic creator. Well, that's what's up.
I'm telling you. I'm glad to hear that. Kyron. All right.
Yeah, Kyron does. He does a book called Saw. It's about a lightning wielder. It's a female. She gets these powers from God that get passed down. And she has this lightning axe and this lightning here. She's actually really dope. I did one of his covers for him, and he has a Kickstarter going right now. We may link that because I'm gonna do a Kickstarter runoff tonight. Because we're gonna show some support for some Kickstarters.
Now, Seafood Kodiak, that's a friend of mine. That's Craig Black. I missed seeing him and his son at Heroes this year.
Okay.
Craig and I go way back. He's gotten lots of commissions from me. A great guy and great sense of humor. I miss you too, man.
All right, awesome. All right, so let's get into it. Who are we drawing today, Daryl?
You're going to be drawing a character I co-created those many years ago. Her name is Fatality. Her real name is Ira, but she goes by the name of Fatality. And if you can't tell, apparently I was a big Mortal Kombat fan back in the 90s. But how she came about, I'll give it a little history. And actually, she's still around. She's a Sapphire, part of the Sapphire Corps, unless they killed her off. I don't know. I think she's still alive. But I remember when back when I was on Green Lantern, we wanted to give Kyle a foe that was very similar to Spawn's Angela, and
okay.
That was basically, they said, hey, let's give Kyle an Angela, and that's all they gave me. I said, well, can I add a little to that? And I said, well, I couldn't think of how many black female supervillains could you name of importance. Mm-hmm. And no one could think of any. I said, well, I want to make her a black supervillain. And so, and not just randomly, I want one with a connection to John Stewart, because back in the old Cosmic Odyssey series from many years ago, John Stewart, in a moment of arrogance, he thought he could save a planet. And long story short, this planet ended up being destroyed. So my idea was there was a survivor and remembers, what he did. And so she's hated lanterns ever since. And she got special training and weapons, and became an expert on how to take on a ring wielder. And she took on the name Fatality. But John Stewart at the time was not a Green Lantern. Kyle was, so it sucks to be him. So, as was customary, we went through a lot of designs. She was pretty close to my initial design. I think my original idea for her, she had a helmet. But I thought, well, because I love armor. Mm-hmm. And she has armor, but I thought, well, let's ditch the helmet. And I think she went through a couple name changes. And we settled on Fatality. The only change I remember editorial wanted to make was she didn't have pointed ears at first, because I didn't realize that the people from her planet Xanshi, they all had pointed ears, kind of like a Vulcan. I'm like, oh, okay, that's even makes her more unique, Mm-hmm. Almost gives her like an elven type of sensibility.
Right.
As far as and I also thought about the kind of attitude I wanted to give her. I wanted to give her a sense of personality. I mean, when Kyle Rayner first meets her, they were at a club, they were dancing, and she was like, we're going to dance, and then I'm going to kill you. Out of all the things that I think I've done, I mean, that's easily a top 10 moment for me during my run. I love that scene. It was funny.
Also take note, I am drawing in green pencil
mm-hmm.
in honor of Green Lantern.
That's fantastic. I also noticed you're using Procreate.
Yes, I am.
Um, I have a little bit of a fixation for that program myself. That's my travel buddy. You know, when I have to go somewhere, especially when I've had to, unfortunately, visit a family member in the hospital or something, or visit my mom who's recovering. I'll have that with me in case I need to keep working.
Okay.
And Procreate, I've only been using about a year, and I can't believe how it's so user friendly and so flexible. And the workspace is so customizable. I mean, look how uncluttered it is.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. I basically feel like it's like just a smaller version of Photoshop.
now my all-time favorite program is the one that's in front of me right now. That's Clip Studio Paint EX. That's Thor has a hammer, Cap has a shield. I've got Clip Studio Paint EX. I'm telling you, that's I mean, I still like Photoshop. Don't get me wrong, but this was created to be a comic program. It's a Japanese program. It was meant for manga.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that I mean, you can create your own brush in Photoshop, but it's so much easier to do in this. And I can open most Photoshop files in it, and I can even import my 3D models. I like to make 3D models from time to time for things that might have a little bit higher level of difficulty with hard surface things, like maybe some kind of contraption or whatever. It's easy to build it in SketchUp, and I can bring it into this and work with it.
All right. Yeah, I finally got Clip Studio myself. I got it for the iPad. It doesn't have all the features that the desktop has, so I need to get the desktop version.
Now the iPad version, isn't that a subscription? Don't you have is like a monthly fee for that or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need to go ahead and get that program. So I'm still trying to get used to it and figure it out. But as I've just been doing a lot of drawing and doing this show, Procreate's been my sidekick right now.
Mm-hmm. I also like how Procreate, it's recording all your strokes, so that when when you've seen those time lapse videos that people post, I used to wonder, well, how are they doing that? And then I found out, oh, well, Procreate just does that. It's just whether you want to use it or not, but all the recordings of what you're working on, it's all there. You can even edit the length of it. I'm like, oh, that's good to know.
Oh yeah, that's what I've been using. Because I just joined the world of TikTok, courtesy of Danny J. Quick saying that I need to, and I did not know how I was going to do it because I'm like, man, that's for all the young kids and all the dancing and stuff. He's like, man, just put up all your recorded videos that you have from Procreate, and like you'll be good to go. I was like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. That's a smart move, Danny J. Quick. I'm gonna have to do that, and so that's what I've been putting up there. And that's probably the one reason I don't use Clip Studio as much, because everything that I draw, I immediately upload to TikTok and Instagram and stuff to keep my promotions going.
Do you feel that TikTok is a good art promotion? I honestly never even thought of it.
I've seen other people, Danny J. Quick, use it to a great degree. And you've got to find your niche in it. I just want to make sure that I'm available on platform. I have not figured out for myself how to use it for marketing to actually get people to buy my comics and stuff like that. So that's something I'm still working on, but I've amassed more followers on that quicker than I did when I went to Instagram.
Okay.
And it's really not any extra work because I'm drawing everything on the iPad, and I'm immediately uploading it to TikTok. So it's not like it's a whole extra hassle. So it's like, if I have easy access to it and I can put myself on that service, why not?
That sounds good. Now, I noticed that you have a Patreon. What are some of the things you offer on that?
On the Patreon, we offer a spot on the show as a fan. After you've been a Patreon subscriber for 3 months, you get to come up on the show. I draw whatever you want, and I also print it out and mail it to you, the physical of it, and sign it. Ability to pick what I draw on the show, fan casting and things like that, exclusive prints and digital downloads and things. It's real simple right now. I have not been able to think of a lot outside of that or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on Patreon?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Let's go ahead. Thank you. Oh, did my computer just do it again? Well, I'm glad I'm not on that computer. Okay, so we got Fatality. So what? So are these Green Lantern earrings she has on?
Yeah, it's just a symbol. They don't, there's more like they don't do anything. Although the idea was every bit of her armor, is if you point to it, I can tell you what it does. Like that was part of the my editor Kevin Dooley would say, like, she's a, besides being an alien with superhuman strength, besides having all the martial arts and all that sort of thing, her armor, it has a point to it. It's not just for looks. It actually has like the pointed boomerang type of things on each bicep. Those were meant to be thrown. Although I never actually showed her doing that, but it's more like everything has some sort of lethal use to it. I would imagine the earrings are probably even explosive or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can picture like, oh, hold on a second, let me throw this at you.
I believe it. Yeah, because it actually it does not look just like for design. It looks like the stuff has purpose and things. But I saw the earrings. I was like, oh, okay, this is a Green Lantern character I don't know about or whatnot. Then I was like, wait, she doesn't have a ring, but she's got the earrings. Who is this woman? Where is she from? So I was very interested to get the opportunity to draw her
She's a hunter
and talk to you about it.
There was a time that she got a hold of a yellow ring from the Quardians, those weaponeers or whatever they were called, the weaponers of Quard. She had a yellow ring at one point, so she can use a ring if it came down to it. But no, she's dangerous enough by herself. I remember not her first appearance, but one of my favorites was when she fought Jade. That was fun, kind of a little cat fight thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see a little bit more of her use of her high-tech spear.
So what was the process like for coming up with this character for DC? Was it a long process? Were there like a lot of renderings? Where like was it easy when it comes to you said, hey, we're giving you a chance to create a character, blah, and then you start the actual work?
I had I had characters like her in my head, just ready to pull from, because like I said, basically they said we want to give Kyle an Angela, go. So I'm like, okay, here's my idea. And like I said, I wanted a black a female supervillain, and I wanted her to be from planet Xanshi. And the only thing is they had to change that. Well, she's got to have pointed ears if she's from Xanshi, and
Mm-hmm.
Victoria's secret weapon.
Oh shoot, I forgot all about the comments. I'm up here getting lost talking to you. Let's back up a little bit. Daniel Calvin says she is still alive per wiki, and Danny J Quick is like, you're right, she is. She was on the Sapphires most recently. Cameron says, what's up? Looks like he said he remembered that. The great miscalculation of Jon Stewart.
It was, to put it simply, yeah, that was a miscalculation, all right. It cost the life of a planet.
Right. What's up, Doomsmith?
Doomsmith.
Yeah, I am including her giant spear, Danny J Quick. Kyron likes Cliff Studio. What up, Jay, man? Good to have you on the episode again, joining us. Blurred is in the building. How you doing? Yes, Danny J Quick is a master of TikTok. I actually teach some Procreate classes virtually. Terrell, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Yeah, I'm thinking about throwing some Hotshot exclusives on there, Danny. 3 Dot says, what's up? How you doing? All right, I think I got all the comments cut up there. All right. So in your time of working with Clip Studio and Procreate, how do you feel about the inking on Procreate versus Clip?
I'm still really trying to find my go-to brushes in Procreate and Clip. That happened relatively soon. Although I've been using it for Oh wow, I've been using Clip for over 5 years now, I think.
Hmm.
But I also I like to, buy brushes. Like there are artists who have their own brushes and they'll have demos. I'm thinking, well, even though I could customize it myself, I want that one right there. So there's a couple brush sets I bought. Well, just not just ink, but just also paintbrush, because that's something I'm wanting to get my color game, bring that up. So I've been buying some digital brushes, paint brushes as well.
Okay.
But yeah, with Clip, you really can't go wrong with the G Pen when it comes to inking.
The G pen.
Yeah. With sketching, it just depends. I'll even sketch with a paintbrush, because I might want to go, add a little value real quick. And some, if you've got your tilt turned on, you get that side of the pencil going, for speed's sake. Lots
In
of different choices.
in Clip, do you use some type of stabilizer for your inking hand to help you stop with the shaking? Because my hand is terribly unsteady.
From time to time, I mean, my Cintiq is very I've calibrated and calibrated and calibrated some more, so it does what I need it to do.
Hmm.
But now certain I've discovered certain tools, if you have stabilization up too high, it's almost like it makes it feel, maybe it depends on what I'm going for, but I don't want it to feel too digital, And
Uh-huh.
what made me think of that is one year I was at Heroes and I was next to Steve Epting, the artist that created the Winter Soldier, and I said, man, I really love your covers, especially with the painted covers. I thought that was all like acrylic and something. No, it's all Photoshop. I'm thinking, what percentage? All of it. I'm like,
What?
I said, it's almost like I'm telling him, no, I'm talking about the ones when the Winter Soldier first appears. He's right. I know I did it. He was like, that's all Photoshop. His philosophy is he doesn't want to do anything digitally he can't do traditionally. So
Hmm.
that's why it looks like, like it could be oil or acrylic or gouache or something like that. And I'm thinking that's a really good philosophy, and obviously you made it work because that stuff was brilliant. You know,
That's awesome. I would never have been able to tell that unless he said that to me. Like, so yeah, that's crazy. Let's see here. Change my brushes.
and even her headband, I gave her a lot of things we never got around to using, but it was just there, almost an Easter egg. The front part of her headband is actually they're goggles. They were kind of like a visor.
Hmm.
If you wonder why it has that shape, it was meant to be pulled down over her eyes if it came down to it. I would imagine it has all types of tactical readings.
I thought they looked like visors. All right. So, did you have an end goal for this character? Something that you wanted to happen with that maybe you didn't get to do?
Really, just my run on the book. Period. I just figure, Kyle Rayner. This was the '90s, so I figure, we might have a good year, 2 years, and then he'll fade into the history of the background of comics, just like so many other things that happened in the '90s. But although we never approached him like that,
Hmm.
there were gimmicks, you know, all day long in the '90s. But Ron and I said, let's create something that we ourselves would like. And if if we like it, chances are maybe other people will as well, and it'll give it some staying power.
Awesome, awesome. How long was your run on Lantern?
Uh, I'd say off and on over like maybe an 8 year period, because I had a lot of fill-ins with Paul Pelletier and Jeff Johnson, uh, Andy Smith. I had I had the backups
Hmm.
were were better than me in many cases, but I was the starting QB. So I would say over like maybe like an 8 year period, if I had to estimate.
Okay. J Man says Green Lantern is one of my core books in my pools always, but I have to say current Green Lantern books need a lot of help. DC is slipping on that title at the moment, but DC is in a strange position with all the layoffs and book cancellations. DC is going through some restructuring.
Mm.
They are. Cannon White in the building. What's up, man? I'm deaf all things Procreate. Made that shift recently. It says it was a love-hate at first. Sergio from Brazil sends best wishes.
Sergio. Hey, oh, Sergio. Oh, I know more than one. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. I know him. Hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah, man, we got people coming in from all over the world to come see you today.
We got a global thing going on tonight, man.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I'm pretty excited by that. Newton in the building. I am drawing Fatality, a character co-created by DARRYL Banks for DC Comics Green Lantern. Here we go. Morgan's in the building. What's up, man? Morgan says, Darryl, thank you so much for being a pioneer for us in a time we didn't know we needed one.
I don't know if I could say I'm a pioneer. I just hopefully I have some kind of positive influence. You know, that's one of my life's philosophies.
Oh, you definitely have that, man. Cannon says the brushes that unlocked Procreate for me was a company called True Grit Texture Supply. The Rusty Nair brush set in particular, amazing. It emulates traditional inks very well. I'm writing that down, Cannon White. Thank you. Okay, we got Kodiak sharing some links with us. Oh, look at that, looking out for you, sharing all your links.
Uh-oh.
Also, can you tell Michael Watson to allow Green Lantern to kill Carla? They don't like Carla in my book, man. Everybody hates Carla. Kyron says, what is your favorite comic to work on?
What's the favorite thing I've ever done? Why I would imagine they mean beside Green Lantern. That's the one that brings me to the dance. But I've been fortunate to work on some great stuff. I mean, yeah, but I've had some not so great. Actually, I'm working on something right now. My co-creator with Harkins Raiders, that World War II graphic novel I did last year. Alan Cordier and I were doing a sword and sorcery story called Sword of Freya, and we posted a couple preview things on Twitter, but look to see some more of that in the near future. But that's once again, it's all digital. The last time I did anything completely digital was the Green Lantern story I did a couple months ago. Harkins Raiders was mainly digital, but there was some traditional in there because when I first started it, I didn't have a Cintiq yet. I was still just scanning things and then tweaking things in Photoshop with I had an old Wacom Intuos, and I kept saying I would, to get faster, I need to be able to draw right on the screen. So I was able to to get my Cintiq and making it happen. Having a lot of fun. So I was really wondering what DC would think of my all digital work, and they loved it. Hope they'd loved it a little bit more and give me something else to do. But in the meantime, yeah, Sword of Freya. That's it seemed like I keep ended up on stuff I'm not known for, that's good. I used to tell my students all the time, you need to do things that are going to stretch you. That's going to make you use muscles you didn't know you had, and see how you could grow that way. And it's one of the reasons why some of the assignments I used to give them was things that had nothing to do with superheroes. As a matter of fact, the first assignment was a Western page.
I remember that page. I've done that a few times.
Oh, you have? Okay. It was a Western page, and I think after that was something on a military base. I thought things that you can't draw completely accurate without reference, because to do as you know, when you're working in the freelance world, you're going to have clients that want specific things, and you need to be able to research and meet their expectations. So that's even if you're doing things for yourself. If you want to do something like in a particular place or a period piece or something, you want to be able to go through that reference and not be bound to it, but to be able to work from it. It's really, there's an art to using reference properly.
Right.
One thing I've always noticed, there's never that perfect reference anyway. That's why, like when I was doing Harkins Raiders, having to draw those the planes of World War II, it was almost never a picture that matched my layout that I was working for. So there were times I needed a 3D model that I can kind of work from, and then add the details from the photo reference, that sort of thing. Like Frankensteining things together to make the reference really work for it the way I needed it to.
Oh man, I thought I was thought I was the only person that did that.
That's the best way of doing it. But like I said, often I like to build my own models. I mean, there are models out there, but sometimes I have a certain shorthand, I guess. It's easier. I don't need the model to have everything, just enough to give me my structure I can build on and finish it up in the drawing itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm probably gonna look up some hair here in a moment on my other computer because it's kicking my ass right now trying to figure out how to do that hair.
Now, remember, this is the Michael Watson take on the character. It doesn't have to be just like she's appeared. This is your spin on it. I remember I actually had artist Elias Katsudis. We were in Baltimore together, and he was doing a lot of bust sketching. I'm a big fan of his work, and so I had him do a Fatality, just to kind of like upper body and face, and it was great. But for some reason, he didn't give her any eyes, and I thought, I'm not going to hand it back to him and say, well, give her some eyes. She doesn't have eyes, but he's probably thinking because she's relating to the Green Lantern, they're thinking like, well, when they have the mask on, they don't have any pupils or anything like that. But it's like, no, she does. But still, I like how it came out. But yeah, she's got dangerous brown eyes to check you out. How she?
You say dangerous brown eyes?
Dangerous brown eyes. Little bit of trivia. I loosely based her personality on Vivica Fox. It's kind of she's basically a killer alien Vivica Fox with pointed ears.
You heard it here first, folks. Chat and Draw Live. I really dig this gauntlet.
That gauntlet, I think we may have used it once. The reason it has those that the top gadget was it shoots an energy net.
Mm-hmm.
It captures you with the net. I want to say if I remember drawing it, but I don't remember if it was an issue. Because a lot of times when I'm trying to work this stuff out, I'll do quick sketches of what I wanted them to do. I'm thinking, did I actually have her use it, or was that just a sketch? But yeah, that's what that weird thing it's just on her right wrist. The other one it doesn't have that. It's just a glove on the left, but on the right, all those gadgets. It projects an energy capture net. I think of yellow energy, because she wasn't prepared for Kyle. She didn't know he didn't have the yellow weakness.
I think that's why I like it, because you only have it on one arm, and it's really unique to her.
And she had an action figure as well.
Did she?
Years ago, the DC Direct made a Fatality action figure. Now, as a toy guy, I love that. That was a dream.
Yeah, that's got to feel something fiercely good.
Mm-hmm. Well, the most recent Mattel Kyle Rayner action figure actually has some of my art on the box. I don't remember if they paid me for that. Let me think. Did I get a check for that? Like, they supposed to? Oh, wait a minute. I remember thinking, oh, this is cool. Matter of fact, they didn't send me the figure either. Of course, they wouldn't be even have it. But a friend of mine, Andre Brown, gave me the figure. And I noticed that, hey, it's got my artwork on the box. So
how did that feel when you first saw it? Because you didn't know about it, and that comes in the mail to you as a gift from a fan or whatnot. And
no, he gave it to me. I was at a show. I was at a show. And he had more than one, and he had me sign it. And I said, "Oh, this is great. Wish I had one." He said, "Hang on a second. No, he had one, and he came back. I don't know if he bought one on the spot and gave it to me, and I appreciate that to this day, because one, didn't have to do that, and two, it's just great seeing that, Kyle has yet another action figure. I still remember his very first, the old Kenner back in the early 90s, when Kenner made the what were they called? Total Justice line of action figures.
Oh shoot! Sorry, Daryl, for 1 second. My Dream Fury shirt has come in the mail from Newton. Thank you, Newton, if you're still watching. I gotta open this up real quick. Look at this. Oh yeah, it's a Crescent City Monsters shirt. Mr. Banks, if you have not heard of this comic book, Crescent City Monsters, you definitely need to check it out. Oh, that is dope.
Take a look. Crescent City Monsters.
That is super, super nice. Thank you, Newton. It is going into the arsenal of shirts to wear. Very much so. Yes. Look, we got a few comments on here. All right, question for Daryl. Oh wait, Sifu said no one held a candle to your art, sir.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate it, man.
J-Man says, do you own your own character, Fatality, or does DC own the rights to her? I do know that Marvel takes almost full copyrights of most artists' new character creations.
That's owned by DC Comics. You know, there are certain characters that I co-created with them. I have what they call creator equity. Like some characters, like Kyle, Ron and I have like an equity in. It's not like ownership, but when they do things with it, we're compensated, you could say. Although it seems like it's not with the frequency it did years ago, but it's still in place. But no, we don't actually own it. I can't do anything with Fatality without DC's okay with it, because that belongs to them. It's it's more like I created a rental car. I can drive it, but it's not mine. that was Ron had coined that. We were when talking. We did I think a podcast once talking about Kyle. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like renting a car. Like, yeah, we can drive it wherever we want, but it's still not ours.
So, you have a very illustrious, when we do have them, convention career. How did being in comics help you and your conventions? I know every time I come to your table, you always have some awesome commissions that you're working on right now or whatnot. But how did being on Green Lantern and being in the comic industry help keep you alive on the convention scene?
Well, I mean, that's more a blessing, and it's very good to know that I have fans that are very supportive and have always been there for me, and it's something that I never take for granted. Like I said, I've been doing this since 1989, and I remember some of my first conventions. I remember one of my first conventions ever. I still remember it was a couple walked in. It was in Ohio State Fairgrounds, I think, and it was a guy and a girl, and she goes, "Who is DARRYL Banks?" And not in a disrespectful way, but it's kind of like because George Perez was there. So, we knew who that was, but who is this guy? I thought one of these days, I'm going to keep working at it. People will know who I am. And that's, that was, like I said, not so much just hard effort on my part, but fan support and enjoying my work and supporting it to this day. And I appreciate that.
Awesome. All right, let's see here. Thank you, everybody, for all the participation here with the questions and the comments. I can't keep up with them, but it's okay. Keep it coming. All right, let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss any. Second in True Grit. There goes the Kickstarter. What was a thought process that led to Kyle Rayner's costume? Also, Harkin Raiders was so good. That's from Daniel.
Oh, thanks. Let's see. The story behind Kyle Rayner's costume. Well, let me know if this drags on, because it's kind of long. I'll try to condense it. Back when I used to work at Marshall's department store, back in the 80s, I used to think, I got a lot of ideas that I would love to pitch to DC if they would even listen to me. But I had I love costume design, still do. And so at one point I thought I wanted to redesign John Stewart. So a lot of what you see in Kyle's costume, it was actually roughly based on a costume I had already designed just for myself for John Stewart. Only difference was he had different boots and gloves, and the logo that you see with Kyle was off to one side. It was in the center. And so when it came time working on Kyle's costume, I just like what I did with that idea I had for Jon Stewart, and I just kind of tweaked that one. And when I think about it, I didn't the gloves, because Kyle's costume was really, I submitted a lot of different designs, and my editor, he looked them over and said, well, I like the mask of this one, the bodysuit of this one, and the gloves and boots of this one. So put those together and see what we have. Kyle's mask, which is I'll be the first to admit is very unusual, but that was one of the things that I was tasked to do. They said we want him to feel like Green Lantern, but not look like any Green Lantern we'd had before.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons he had such a weird looking mask is that growing up, I always loved Marvel's character Sunfire.
Okay.
There's something about the fact that his mask, it didn't closely follow the contours of his nose. It just kind of did. And I don't know why that was always fascinating to me, because it was different. I couldn't think of anybody else who had a mask that did that. And it was just so wild. I'm like, man, it's like it follows his nose, but doesn't. So I thought, well, I want to make Kyle's mask kind of do that, except make it more angular so it fits in with the rest of the design. And so that's the origin of that weird. Now, here's something frightening. At one point, picture that, but more complicated and even wrapped around the back of his head. And my editor was like, he was like, here's the thing. Now, remember, this is 1994. Image was around and all that. Some of the original designs I had for him, it had so much stuff on it, because I wanted him to feel like a 90s character. My editor was like, look, it said, I'm doing you a favor. You want to keep this simple, because you don't want, after 22 pages, you don't want to feel like you want to kill yourself. You want something that you'll thank me later. And he was right. Kevin was right. So so the mask, it got a little bit more simplified, and we combined elements. Now, the last thing to change was the logo, because they weren't really sold on that split logo. They're like, well, we kind of want to keep the traditional Hal Jordan logo. And I said, look how far we've come. Might as well go all the way with it. I said, plus, the reason I split it like that, because Kyle wouldn't, when he charges the ring, he doesn't recite the oath like Hal and Jon Stewart does. So I thought, well, we'll imply it. So at the center of that, it's like a sun and a moon. So we imply the brightest day, blackest night. And they're like, I was like, working on you to think about it. Okay. So it's funny seeing it on toys and posters and everything else. Like, yeah, they weren't cool with it. Same with Parallax. They wanted to call Hal Jordan's new persona, they wanted to call him the Protector, mainly because they already owned the copyright to that name. And I thought, well, it doesn't match his personality at all. You have to admit. But they're like, yeah, but that's set in stone. He's going to be called the Protector. I'm like, all right. So let me try to convince you. So I actually wrote a paragraph of why I felt the name Parallax fit him, because Parallax, when you're talking about the like astronomy, it's a point of view, how you see things. And I thought, well, if nothing else, Hal Jordan, who's used to being amongst the stars, he's had a whole different point of view. What do you think? They thought about it. Thought, okay, Parallax it is. And next thing you know, they made a Green Lantern movie, and what was the evil monster's name? Parallax.
Parallax.
Every time you hear that, remember, this guy from Columbus, Ohio coined that with much reluctance.
That's what's up. I never knew that.
Yeah, so and with the Parallax armor, that was, really there wasn't much. His coming up with that was pretty easy. I mean, I didn't have as many sketches for him as I did for Kyle. That was pretty much, I knew what I wanted him to look like from sketch number one, except he had the that circle on his chest had the logo in it. And they're like, no, that won't make sense, and you'll understand why once you read the script. But yeah, ditch the logo. And he didn't have the cape at first because there's just nothing we thought of. The cape was actually added, and they didn't tell me why at first. Like, well, his role is going to expand in the DC universe, so we kind of want him to fit the part. I'm like, fit what part? I'm like, okay, more than what he's already been doing. Well, this is before I knew he was going to be the main villain behind Zero Hour.
Okay.
because matter of fact, it was a friend of mine had told me when the book was out. I didn't know even when the book was out since I didn't work on it. But it's like, oh, so how do you feel about what happened with Zero Hour and the main villain? I'm like, oh, this is that guy with the red costume. When I think his name was Extant. He's like, no, Extant has a boss. I'm like, no, he's the main villain. Like, no, he's not. He was working for someone. You know who he was working for? Like, who? Show me. And I look at the book. Parallax. So he became the big bad of that.
Right.
So that was why he had to have a cape so he'd have more of a dramatic, presence.
That's crazy. With somebody working on the book and invested in working on the character, how close to the chest they played that.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't know how it is now, but at least back then there was a tier system. Like you had the top of the food chain was like Batman and Justice League and the Superman offices, and like Green Lantern was down there. So there was a big crossover event called Final Night where they killed off Parallax, and there was nothing we could do about it. Even my editor was like, well, there were things we wanted to do with the character, but it's kind of like, I guess we were JV and the varsity said, no, we're running this place. So now, fortunately, he came back, he got better, but you know how that is in comics. But yeah, it was more like that tier system kicked in big time. So but I like I was not that upset because the idea that the higher up felt that what we did was so interesting that they wanted to use him. It's like we created a shiny new toy that the whole company was having fun with.
That's a great way to look at it.
And he got an action figure too, so I was happy about that.
So, outside of the comic work, in between the gigs or whatnot, in between the shows, what else are you into as an artist that's keeping the bills paid, keeping you fed?
Oh, what other types of work you mean?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I call it my day job, but that day job almost makes it sound negative. I work for a company I'll call it Hawthorne Village. It's a division of the Bradford Exchange, and I've been with them for 14 years, and I love every second of it.
Okay.
Because they do a lot of licensed property things, and it's all across the spectrum. I mean, and of course we've done comic stuff, DC and Marvel, but I mean we've worked motion pictures, the NFL, McDonald's. It's a really wide variety, and it's one of those things where the creativity, it gives me such a range. I like the fact that although a lot of it tends to be seasonal, they love Christmas and Halloween. At one point, I did the Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas character so often I could about draw them out of my head. And I remember at one point we were big on Jack Sparrow. What's the one? Drawing a blank. The
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, at one point, I mean, as detailed as Jack Sparrow was, I drew him so many times I could almost draw him completely from memory. That's how many times I had to draw that character. But yeah, I've loved working with Hawthorne, mainly because all my editors used to be freelancers, so I've never had to wait on a check because they remember what it's like. Like, oh, we're never gonna keep you waiting on money. So, yeah, I love working with. Actually, chronologically, I worked with them longer than I did with DC. So and it's such a wide range of things. I mean, at maybe 1 week I'm doing concepts about the 66 Batman, or the week after that I could be doing the Tuskegee Airmen. It's such a wide range, and I love it. And you talk about a group of editors and project developers to work with. I really couldn't ask for more. And then also work-wise, of course, I'm a commission machine.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
That's ongoing.
Thank you, David. I am going to do that. I haven't downloaded too many brushes. That's not a rabbit hole that I've jumped down yet. I've been pretty comfortable with the 2 brushes I use on here right now. But then again, I'm not really an inker, man. I'm a guy trying to get used to inking and understanding it. So when I get more comfortable with it, I feel like I will jump down the brush hole.
I think once you start doing it, you'll discover it's almost like finding, like singing in a particular key. I mean, it'll be a thing where I remember when I first started inking traditionally, because for years, I mean, especially during my run on Green Lantern, that was all pencil. I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't start getting inks until I wasn't even with the company. It's more like, well, I had to learn to ink out of necessity. But you'll discover when you ink and also when you paint, it can be relaxing, especially once the pencil side is done. You know, like the I want to say the headache part is over, and it's relaxing. You know, you've seen like the Bob Ross type of thing. It's like, you know, it has that almost level of relaxation. You know, like, oh, okay, I can just focus on the line because the heavy lifting has already been done with the pencil phase of it.
Right. That's what I've been finding. The more I'm drawing or sketching and laying out, I'm getting to the inking part faster.
Hmm.
Just because I am trying to get stuff done, and I'm starting to build up some confidence with the inks. Still not all the way there, but you know, working on it. Good time. Johnny G says, Daryl to me is a definitive Green Lantern artist. I was fortunate enough to save several commissions of Kyle Rayner and Parallax Hal Jordan drawn by him last year. You're a lucky man. Good time.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, really appreciate that.
Vivica Fox is another level fine, though. J-Man met Vivica Fox and took a picture with her.
Oh, really?
Let's see. Oh, no, oh, man, we got a lot of comments up on this bad boy.
Now, also getting back to the ink thing, there are certain things I've discovered. Keep in mind, you know, Terry Austin's a good friend of mine, and you know, at one point I used to pick his brain about inking until I could tell, you know, he'd rather talk about something else. Because, in case you don't know, he's retired now, but he did that for a while. You know, there are certain, I want to say, exercises you could do to train your hand to make you want to have certain strokes to have a level of crispness and confidence to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you first start inking, you know, you're talking about it's real shaky. Well, that comes from, it's almost like you're driving, you don't know where you're going.
Okay.
And so Scott Williams also has a YouTube tutorial on. He said he trained his hand to make a certain amount of shapes, and he turns the you know turns the pad however way to just keep making that certain shape, that certain stroke. And I'm thinking, oh, he makes it sound so simple, especially we're talking about Scott Williams. You know, that's Jim Lee's #1 inker.
Uh-huh.
But once you have that, uh, like for example, I like to practice with just how long of a straight line can I make it? It still feels pretty straight. Triangles, you know, circles without an ellipse. Of course, a lot of that dates back to a class I took at CCAD. I had a teacher by the name of James Orr, and he worked for General Motors for many years. And you talk about having to draw 1,000 cars a day, you're going to get good at ellipses. And I remember before I took this class, it was like a urban legend. Like, there's this teacher, and word has it, there's this teacher that can do a circle without a template. And actually, I didn't realize it was him until I was in the class and he did it. I'm like, it's him. And I was wondering who it was. And like, it's my teacher. He was talking about something else, but just during his whatever he was discussing, he had to do these circles perfect. You could lay a template on top of it. I'm like, so it's him. But that comes from, you know, when, like I said, I don't think it was an exaggeration to say 1,000 cars a day, especially when he was with GM in the 80s when they introduced the new, what they call F body of the Camaro and Firebird. And they just had to draw it over and over and over again. So yeah, anything you do that much, that's that you're going to get good at, whether you like it or not. So I thought, well, I don't exactly work for General Motors, but you know, I have set up a certain amount of sketch exercises to help, you know, sharpen things up. Looks like we got a comment here. Sorry, I missed a bit when I moved over from Twitch. Do you use 3D models to get perspective proportions? An example of that is back in, I think it was 2011, DC did a Green Lantern retroactive comic. And so it was the first time we got the band together. I say it was B, Terry, and Ron doing a Green Lantern story. And instead of just drawing Kyle's apartment, just, you know, how I had previously, I built it in 3D. Although
I'm
there
sorry.
was
Thank you, Danny J. Quick. I forgot to put the damn art back up there.
people couldn't see what you were drawing.
No, they couldn't. I've been down here working too.
I was wondering. I said, well, I know he was doing other things. You opening the shirt and stuff. I'm like, well, what happened to the sketch? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we need a moderator on the show, especially those big season finales. All right, go ahead, Dale. Finish what you were saying.
Oh, now I'm thinking. He was saying, cough, cough. You need a moderator. I think he was volunteering.
Yeah, I think he was volunteering. Danny J. Quick.
Oh man. But yeah, we were talking about inking. I said, you'll discover when you have I have when I can, as often as I can. It's not every day. I have a training session I call Sketch Plus, and each day I have a series of things I practice. Like maybe Monday it's likenesses, maybe Tuesday it's hands, maybe Wednesdays it's mechanical design, hard surface sketching, like cars and things of that nature. You know what I mean? And then another day could be technique study, like trying to find, trying to make that. I mean, you look at certain inkers, and of course that also goes with some pencils as well. You look at like the work of like a Dale Keown. It literally looks like he makes no mistakes at any point with any stroke he makes. Now that's not magical. That came from some sort of level of training. I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So there are certain things that you could discover that just like an athlete trains certain muscle groups. And really, when you think about it, isn't that what drawing really is? It is a type of muscle memory.
Yeah.
Certain things you can draw out of your head without reference. It's just there.
Yeah, it's refreshing to hear a conversation like this from you about the things that you work on and how much you practice to get as good as you are. I still have the sketches that you drew of my FSK characters at FSK Day. Like those things look phenomenal, and it looks
okay.
it looks effortless from your end. But hearing you talk about all the work that you put into it all the time to get it that way. Let's
my
hopefully
advice
tell the
to
audience
anyone that wants to,
Go ahead.
anything that if anyone's out there listening and you're like, hey, I want to get better at drawing, the first thing to do is make it fun to you, because there will be a time, even if you're doing your own comic, it's going to be work. I remember back when I used to work at Wendy's. I said, well, one day I want to do comics, so I don't have to work like this anymore. Oh, I work a lot harder now than I ever did in fast food, man. When the deadline is looming and the clock is ticking, that's work.
Yeah.
Like I have sold shoes in my time. I've flipped burgers, and I'm telling you, at 2 a.m. it doesn't matter. Work is work. So my first thing is find something about it that you love doing it, because you're going to be doing a lot of it, especially if you want to do it effectively, you want to do it competitively. It's got to be something that love it, especially when you're trying to learn it. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but the thing is, when you can enjoy the journey, it won't feel like drudgery, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
It's like, imagine if you ever watch your wife cook something, and you know what she's making. You're like, I know this is going to be good, but I got to be patient. But this is going to be worth it, if you're and also because I'm thinking of the things that how I felt when I was first wanting to do this professionally, is I dealt with a lot of discouragement, and a lot of, not discouragement from people, but within myself, and just feeling like I looked at artists that made it seem so easy, and I just wanted to quit so often. I thought, I can't quit, but there are times where you feel like, just never mind. I'll just do something else. No, don't quit. And keep in mind, there's always going to be amazing artists out there. I mean, at one point, I think I made a career out of getting art over artists who were better than me. But see, the thing is, how well you draw, that's only about maybe 60% of your success rate anyway. There are artists out there, yeah, they're amazing, but how well can they take direction? Now, these are things editors have told me. Is that, you work with the team well. You take direction well. There are some maybe they're amazing artists, but they could be divas. And that is one thing. Oh, if you hear one thing I'm saying tonight, editors hate divas. It's like, oh my goodness, it don't matter how good you are, they can't stand divas, man. It's like, can you do the work? It's like, these people want to do their job and go home, just like you.
Right.
So it's like, you might feel like, oh, if I was, I'm not as good as, so and so over here. Like, well, be you, and how can you get better at that? The wheel's already been invented. You don't need to try to reinvent it. It rolls just fine. Now, what can you do? What can you bring to the table? And it might not just be the art. It could just be your professionalism. And also, as and I've had people tell me this, even though I already knew it. When you're trying to accomplish something, somebody's watching you. Somebody's going to come up. If it hadn't happened, Michael, someone's going to come and use it. Man, thank you for doing your freestyle comics. That really inspired me to do my. That's just how this works. And it may not be somebody that you know personally, but when you're trying to achieve something you couldn't do before, I think it makes eyes, come on you and want to follow what you're doing to see, are you going to stick with it or not?
Mm-hmm. You're right. That has happened to me before, man. I had somebody bring me a whole piece that they drew of Vigilance because they said that Victor and I helped inspire them to get back into drawing or whatnot. And those are very big moments, man. Those really make you feel like the journey and what you're doing are well worth it. We got J-Man with a question. Okay. Speaking of Kyle, the casting of Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan was so wrong. He should have been Kyle. He was more his personality and humor. Hal Jordan has a military background and more of a serious character. Unfortunately, the Green Lantern movie was a glowing green turd, and epic failure by Warner Brothers.
Now, I get this question a lot, is what I thought of the movie. Now, I look at it like this. The Green Lantern movie, that's the first. I mean, technically the second, maybe even the third attempt at a live-action Green Lantern. You had the what was it, Challenge of the Superheroes, that had Adam West with the kind of like a live-action take on the TV special with the Justice League. There was a Green Lantern in that. And then there was a direct-to-video Justice League where the Green Lantern kind of looked like a Guy Gardner with a Kyle Rayner-looking mask kind of a thing going on. But this movie really was like a first fruits effort. Now, the reason I bring that up is let's look at Batman's first live-action appearance in the old 1940s serials. That was kind of ridiculous. So my thing is, it started rough, but, let's look at the first Superman. Let's look at the first Batman, give it time. I feel like, whatever we get moving forward, we've learned a lot of things that work and what don't,
I think you're making a very valid point there. Things grow. I specifically am not a fan. Like I appreciate the X-Men movies for what they did, and like I loved them when they first came out. But if you compare those movies with comic book movies they have now, they're complete trash. They don't hold a candle to it, and there was a lot of studios and directors saying, well, we can't do this because of that. We can't do that because of this. And then Spider-Man comes out 2 years later and does everything that they said they couldn't do. So it's a matter of not gatekeeping, but somebody's got to be there to crack the first egg. I think you've got to have somebody there to set this to show, oh, this is okay, this is acceptable, people do like this. Then you can start branching out.
Well, this mentality where you get people who don't trust the audience. Like, for example, we got a G.I. Joe movie and everybody looks like Snake Eyes. I'm like, Snake Eyes is the one that's supposed to have the black leather and the armor and all that. Not everybody. It's kind of like, well, that's what the X-Men did. Like, oh, we can't have a blue and yellow Wolverine. I'm like, you can, you just don't think you can.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, audience wouldn't like this. They've been doing it in Japan since the 70s. Yes, you can, You can have brightly colored characters. More like, you got to do it well, but it's not like you can't do it,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's got to be done well. Because I mean, they even make that joke in the X-Men, right, about the costumes. And Cyclops says to Wolverine, "What were you expecting? A yellow leotard or whatever?" And but look at how close the costumes are to the original costumes now. So it has to be done well. You're right, absolutely.
And it can be done. I mean, they put a spin on it. I mean, you look at like you said, like the modern like Avengers movie, like Iron Man looks like Iron Man. It's funny nowadays. Of course, the comics almost look like they're taken after the movies instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I'm not too crazy about. I honestly, one of my favorite Star-Lord outfits was one he had maybe just a year or so before the movies came out. It was a nice combination of his original John Byrne. I don't know if John Byrne did the original, but I associate his design with Star-Lord, and like a modern take on it. That was my favorite. But I mean, obviously, I like the movie version, but it's kind of like, well, the movies don't have to take over everything. Certain things I think work in their original comic book version. I mean, to this day, I really wish Thor had a helmet. I just, I growing up on the John Buscema Thor and the Walt Simonson stuff, I'm like, yeah, I know he didn't have a helmet in the Ultimate Universe and all that, but I'm like, if only.
Well, he had a helmet in the first movie. They just didn't keep it.
Well, yeah, for like that coronation scene, and that was it. And I guess that will have to be our moment, Or they gave him the helmet in Ragnarok, so for that gladiator helmet. So it's kind of like, well, we proved that he could fight with a helmet and it could stay on. It could be done, but they gotta want to do it.
Right. Daryl is a super good dude. Had him as an instructor at CCAD.
Oh, is that right? Wow. Jason.
Cannon says, I love Kyle's look as Ion.
That was after my time, but yeah, that was a cool design.
Somebody said, whoa, it's Banks. They're excited you're on the show. Cameron's agreeing with something we've obviously talked about. Michael wants to know, have you ever tried to go to Marvel?
I did. I remember one time I did like 3 pages in an X-Men. I think it was issue number 352. I was in New York visiting the DC offices, and I was curious how far of a walk was it to the Marvel office. And I remember my editor standing in the doorway like, no, you don't want to visit them. If you visit them, they're going to give you something. I'm like, they don't even know me. They're not going to give me anything. I just want to, I mean, I'm from Ohio. How often do I even get to see a skyscraper, much less visit Marvel Comics? So I went, and they did give me something. So they were like, we got this issue that's so far behind. They were literally looking for anyone walking down the hallways like, hey, you want to draw something? It was like, it was funny. It's DARRYL Banks. Oh, hey, you want to draw? First of all, I had cue cards, like index cards like you have in school. I was going to introduce myself. They knew who I was. I'm like, oh, okay. So I did. It was Jean Grey and Scott Summers on an airplane that was hijacked by AIM. And then there was a page where the X Mansion, I guess, had gotten destroyed, and Wolverine was talking to Archangel about something or whatever. And then a few years later, there was a Captain America annual. I think it came out in 2000. It was a 1940 story. It was the Invaders. So I got to draw Submariner, which that was a big one for me. I grew up on that character. So that was my Marvel experience. I don't really count Green Lantern Silver Surfer. It was a DC project that Marvel looked in on. I mean, they were fully aware of, and they had to approve the page and all that. But really, I consider that more of a DC project. Well, the check said DC, so they looked just like my Green Lantern one. So that was kind of not really a Marvel project like the X-Men or the Captain America project I just mentioned. But with Green Lantern Silver Surfer, that's still to this day my favorite overall comic experience. I mean, I got to draw, Green Lantern and Silver Surfer. I got to draw the origin of the Silver Surfer, including Galactus, which wasn't in the original script. I got to tell you, I harassed Ron to put that in there. I'm telling you, I said,
why was you pushing so hard?
I said, this is going to be my shot. I said, I really can't see me getting another chance to draw Galactus professionally. I said, plus we are recapping stuff. He goes, yeah, I said, just picture a double page spread, surfer coming out of the hand and all that. And he goes, yeah, I kind of want to see your take on it. I was like, all right. So that's why that's in there. That's why that's in there.
So here's what I'm liking with your stories. I'm liking how much advocation you added to yourself. Like
you gotta push
your catalog of comics and Darryl Banks takes a shot.
That's how this works. I mean, certain things you don't know till you find out. You don't know until you try. You can get turned down. I've been turned down plenty times. I mean, think about it. I just did a Green Lantern story. They didn't even let me do the cover of the issue I did. I mean, they did a bunch of variants, and they did throughout the years. They did 90 was. I figured, oh, okay, well, the 90s when they'll let me do that. Nope. Now, that being said, the cover they went with, Philip Tan, that looked amazing. I'm a fan of his work. Kind of like, yeah, but I kind of would have wished that I had a chance to do it. But hey, I got to work on the inside, and that was great. And I loved how it came out, and the color was just 4-star. I just, I mean, I've been happy with color jobs before, but that just blew me away. I remember getting the PDFs before the book came out, and I remember thinking, they cut no corners. It was almost like if I was better at digital coloring, that's about what I would have done for myself, except, they exceeded it. I love when colorists over deliver. Some of my recent prints, I've had at shows, I've had colored by an artist by the name of Ross Hughes. And I remember when Ross would email me the files, wanting to know what I thought. It was like, I expected good and got great. And so I'm thinking, got time to do a few more? So some of my recent prints that you see me with that aren't actual covers, they were colored by Ross Hughes.
That's what's up. But I think that might come across that people are a fan of your work as well, and when it come across the board and they're like, oh shoot, this is Darryl Banks's pencils, let's go.
Yeah, I try. I'm probably my own worst critic. I just feel like there's, I don't know, just I never want to get complacent. I mean, you know how this works, but it's more like there are times where I just like, man, I've been doing this 30 years. Like, will you get better? That's why I'm also trying to dial up my digital color as well. I've been doing traditional color as well. Sometimes people will have me commission me to do some color stuff, but trying to get fast. See what you just did with Procreate? I love how Procreate does that. Like you can kind of draw kind of a rectangle and you hold it down, that makes it complete. The same with ellipses and circles. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's my favorite feature.
And then you can go back and edit it if you want to.
Exactly.
I remember when I first saw that in a YouTube tutorial. I'm like, say what now? It's like, you mean I could just kind of draw a circle? Like, let's say I'm sketching Captain America's shield and what, just kind of make a shape and hold it in it, and you get the ellipses, and you can edit the ellipse afterwards. I'm like, yes, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm doing right now with these lines on its own layer. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's and I was working on this for like, I don't know, a year before I knew that could be something that was done. Saves a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, drawing this whole thing. This has been pretty tough and grueling here, trying to get this right.
Now remember, this is your take on the characters. Like, you kind of gave her more of a pants thing, give her like a little urban thing going on there. It's freestyle Fatality.
That is appropriate for this show. All right, we got some more comments here. Hey, everybody that's been adding stuff, thank you so much. Let's see where we leave off at. This info about the history of Parallax is great. You obviously said something that surprised Danny J. Quick. Saying you don't know if you're a pioneer and you out here creating dope characters like this. Exactly, Morgan. Oh man, we're deep in the comments on this one. Mr. Banks, is there any big two characters you're interested in drawing that you haven't yet?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I would say for Marvel, I believe it or not, in spite of all the movies, my favorite Marvel character is Hercules.
Really?
And the reason that is because he's the kind of character throughout his history at Marvel, you can put him in any kind of story. I mean, to me, he's more flexible even than Spider-Man and Deadpool. I mean, you can go ancient Greek with it. You can put him in outer space like the Bob Layton story. You can go comedy. You can go serious like the old Steve Reeves movies back in the day. You know what I mean? I love the flexibility of it. You know, you can go serious, you can go humor, you can go high tech, you can go the Greek gods. You know, like I said, that is one flexible character. That would be fun to do, to work on Marvel's version of Hercules.
All right. Coming back to my adversary, the hair. All right. Darryl, do you have a collection of any character like Fatality drawn by other artists?
Back when I was teaching, Kayron Grant, amazing artist in his own right. Follow him on all his social media. You won't regret it. I had him sketch Fatality once, and he did it a little too well. So I thought, it was great. It's probably in my treasure drawer upstairs, where along with my Dennis Cowan Batman page and along with my Martin O'Dell Green Lantern page. So yeah, it's probably right up there in the Hall of Fame. And not too long ago, I might have around here, I mentioned Elias Katsoudas. I had him do Fatality. Like I said, earlier, he drew her, but he didn't give her any eyes. But it was so amazing. I'm like, yeah, I'll just, she got some kind of power or whatever. That's trying to figure out a reason. Like, why didn't she have the eyes? I'm trying to think out of all the reference. Like, didn't she have eyes and all the reference? But it still looked great. And, I was cool with it. So I don't see the eyes on yours. Wait a minute. Wait, not again.
I actually saved the eyes for last.
Oh, okay.
I don't. So I'm working on like a regular iPad. So it's not a Pro, so I don't get access to as many layers as you would with a Pro or whatnot. So I've got to manage my time on the piece and what layers I keep and merge.
Oh, okay.
But still, it works. I mean, I love the iPad.
Do you use the regular Apple Pencil, or what do you use to draw with?
I'm using the Apple Pencil.
Okay, yeah, that's what I use. I mean, I've seen some aftermarket stuff, and I'm thinking, well, the Apple Pencil does what I needed to do. I couldn't imagine it would being a huge difference. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I don't. My friend had the iPad Pro and Apple Pencil, and he let me play around with it. And from that, I didn't want nothing else. I'm like, yeah, I don't want nobody's aftermarket. Like, there are things that you can get generic, and then there's just some things you can't.
Okay.
So, I mean, and people that there's ways to get things and make it happen. Like I said, this is like a 4th generation iPad. It's like 4 years old, but it still works with this. This is like the 1st generation Apple Pen. Procreate and stuff still works on here, whatnot. So, you cut the corners where you can.
See, the thing is, it's more the artist than the tools. I mean, if you gave a Magic Mountain putter to Tiger Woods, he could light you up. You know what I mean? It's like it comes down to the artist. I remember seeing some digital artwork by Brian Ballin. Known for a lot of his, The Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had said, no, this was years ago. I don't know what he's using now, but at one point I was seeing this amazing artwork. It's, he uses like Photoshop 3 or something like that. It was crazy. I'm like, see, it's not necessarily the tools, but the person behind it.
That is a true fact. Kyron said, how can people reach out to you to get a commission?
I would say through social media, but not DMs, because I don't check them that much. But I believe I have links to my email and all my social media. Emailing is the hands down best way to reach me, because I mean I check my emails. I mean I'm sitting here glancing at them right now. I check my emails almost once an hour, with my DMs maybe once a day. A matter of fact, I almost missed your note about how to join it, because I'm like, oh man, sent me as a DM. I'm glad I saw that. I was getting ready to think like, well, how do I join this? I just happened to check that. Yeah, I don't check DMs hardly at all, because I don't have notifications. I turned that off years ago. Do you remember when Wizard World Columbus first started? And that was towards the beginning of, I think, me being on Facebook or whatever. I didn't realize you got to watch how you sign up for that stuff. My number was in there. So
Okay.
some little kid was sending me DMs, and I had notifications. I'm like, who's texting me? I'm like, asking me this question. I'm like, well, who is this? And it was like, man, I didn't realize I gave my number out. It's like, man, that was a different number, but still, I'm like, yeah. Ever since then, I'm like, yeah, let me deactivate. At one point, I deleted the app altogether, but I said, well, when it comes to business, it does come in handy from time to time. But I don't check it nearly as much as I do my main email.
Right.
But regarding commissions, I do those year round as I fit them in with my work schedule.
Yes, he does.
I just posted it, a couple of work in progress on my Instagram and Twitter. The X-Men one, that was because how I work is I do the prelims digital, and then I'll just print them out, and I just lightbox and then tighten it up. Have them printed them.
That's exactly what I was going to start doing with my commissions, because I find it so much freer to sketch on here and lay everything out and work it exactly how I want it, and then print it out and lightbox it.
That's it. I mean, my lightbox is this is my lightbox I had when I went to CCAD.
Oh,
So,
wow.
It still works. It's funny. I often forget. I could say, well, they don't make things like they used to. Yeah, my light box is from the 80s. So my light box is probably older than you, but it still works. But yeah, I'll do things. I'll do my prelims in the Clip Studio Paint and print them out, and take it from there.
Yeah, if it still works, there's no reason to mess with it.
There you go.
Like I still got that. I got that big flatbed musket 11x17 scanner. That mug still works, but like I know in probably one or two more computer upgrades, it's not going to work anymore with my computer. So I'm going to need to eventually get one.
I used to have an 11x17, was a little bit bigger than that Mustech scanner that it lasted up until, because it was, I mean, this was before USB was as universal as it is now, because it was the, old plugs had like 100 pins in the plug.
Mm-hmm.
And it was what you talk about. If I'm scanning something, stop everything else. It was just a system hog. Daniel Calvin, got to duck out. Thanks for the talk. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is the other thing I like, being able to just drop in color on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you make a shape, you can just fill that in with whatever color you want real quick.
Yes.
Now, where is it? There it is. And this is why, again, I really dig the layouts. This app doing digitally, I didn't think I would, but just being able to add so many layers and just fix whatever I want to fix and come back and throw in things it's a game changer. What else we got here? I think Darryl's attitude is what makes him a favorite at cons. I met him at Heroes Con, and not only did he review my art, he gave me some tips at his booth. That still means a lot to me.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Stick with it, man. You know. We got all this, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Facebook. Anybody wants to see some of the work that I've been posting and see what you think, stop on by. Thanks for posting that, Craig.
All right, so there we got them goggles in there. Oh man, I remember FSK Day. I hope we can do that again soon. Yes, actually, I was just talking to Andy about that. We still have plans to do FSK Day, but I am waiting for some more of the content that we've been working on because we have a ton that we are working on to be released and in the barrel, and and actually waiting to see how the new normal is going to be with everything or whatnot because I want it to be a worthwhile thing. But we probably will do a little something online, selling the books. Like I've had a couple discussions about that. Man, that's the truth. When that deadline comes down, this is just as stressful as any other job. Me and Yuko Smith begged him to come to HeroesCon until we convinced him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they put in the link for your art book there.
Oh, okay. That's my
There you
first
go.
one, by the way. That's my first art book.
Question for both of us: would you agree that inking is a large leap of faith?
Like anything else, really, like penciling, really. It's a thing where, with me inking, I had gotten so comfortable with only penciling. I remember before I was inking professionally, I had an opportunity to ink like a how to draw book. I was was able to put some content with, and the company was like, "Well, you've been doing the pencils for us, we'll also pay you to ink it. That's double the rate." But I had zero confidence in my inking, so I told them no. And this is what I remember. I needed the money too. We're like, "No, I can't ink. I can't." It was more like I had psyched myself out. I told myself I couldn't do it. As a man thinketh in his mind, so is he. I mean, it was like I thought I couldn't do it, and I didn't until the time came where like I better learn how to ink.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of came down to, just like I learned to pencil, just practice and have fun with it. And no, it won't be perfect. It's not perfect now. So it's like, might as well, go for it. Learn not just to practice, but learn how to practice. I think so often that gets said a lot, like, "Oh, you want to learn to draw? Well, practice." Well, that'd be like telling me to golf. Well, just go practice golf. I don't know how to golf. Me having the clubs and even agreeing to work on it, you got to learn what to practice. Like, learn what to practice, and then do that. So there she goes. Now she can see. Now she can see.
Now she can see. Yeah. One of the reasons I like to add these in kind of last, it brings life to the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got that.
But really mentioning what Doomsmith had said about the leap of faith is, when you think about a leap of faith, that almost implies you don't know what you're doing, like you're blindfolded. But see, that's the thing. You want to practice something, and that, whether that's paint or ink or penciling, to the point where you feel a level of confidence to at least try it, and not just try it, not afraid to making a mistake, but just more like I said, learning what to practice. Like I said, starting with maybe do a page of triangles, a page of circles, a page of ellipses, and to when you get rid of that shake, you know what I mean, where that line is nice and sharp. Let's see. Did you follow the turn of Hal into the Spectre, and what did you think? One of the questions here. I did have to do an issue of Green Lantern where Hal was the Spectre, and that was. I wasn't a big fan of Hal as the Spectre, but the issue we did I kind of liked, because Hal kind of met back up with Carol Ferris, who I guess they hadn't been in contact for a long time, and we discover she had a lot of guilt over the lives she cost when she was Star Sapphire. So I think that Hal as the Spectre kind of helped her come to terms in getting past that. And I remember liking that aspect of the story.
Awesome. All right, Danger Quick is bouncing out for bed. I'm letting the replay go right now because I just finished the piece. Thank you, Danny. Said this was a great episode. Karan is a beast, man. Thanks, Daryl. Fellow artist, met you a few times at Youngstown Comic Con. Always a great show, Mr. Watson. Thank you very much, DARRYL Banks. Oh, Ren McKenzie's here. Was mean to me when I first moved to Ohio because he stopped teaching at CCAD right before I got there.
Ren McKenzie. Ren McKenzie in the house.
Right.
Brother Ren.
Well, Mr. Banks, sir, this is my version of Fatality coming to life right here on the screen. This was a fun character. I think there's added pressure because, you know, you were on the show watching this, and this is one of yours. But I think I got it.
You gave the Michael Watson take on the character, and that's what we were looking for, you know, and you did it, man. Under pressure. How do you feel? Let's see.
I feel a bit accomplished.
Mission accomplished. See,
like I had a couple spots that were running in difficult, and I had to do some remapping and stuff. But you know, stuck with it.
See that's my advice to anybody out there. You might have questions or doubts about your ability. Stick with it, and you did it, man. There she is.
Yeah, she's fun.
Victoria's secret weapon, man. I'm telling you. Now, awesome. Hey, imagine Fatality versus Vigilance. Huh?
Ooh. All right. That sounds fun. Might be a little warm-up drawing to do or whatnot.
See?
All right. Well, I want to thank Mr. Banks for coming on here and spending this time with us, man. I want to thank everybody that tuned in, man. This is a great show. A lot of comments, a lot of good questions. Again, if you want to follow DARRYL Banks, all of his social media was posted in the comments. Just go ahead and follow along with that and continue to support him. Reach out to him through email to get your commissions. Like you say, he checks that a lot. If you like this show and what we're doing, I do this stuff all the time. I have a geek show called The Good, the Bad, and the Nerdy. I have an introspective indie show called Dear Creative. And, of course, Chat and Draw. And if you want to know about any of that stuff or follow me or just give me a support and a like, you can do that as right up here. Let's see here. Yes. Most Epic Art on Twitter, on Instagram, on Patreon, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch. Again, like I said, Patreon offers a fan episode, which Andrew Duggan will be doing our first fan episode here in a few days, and I'll be drawing whatever character he wants and discussing that. Again, shout out to Mr. DARRYL Banks for coming on here and let me play in the world of Fatality and for this awesome conversation.
It's great. I love it. Had a great time, man.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, thank you. And I got Russell Notary coming on here. I apologize if I pronounced his last name wrong. And Greg Anderson, Elise, will be in the building this week as well. The big shows keep coming. Both of these guys got some monster Kickstarters going, and I'm looking forward to getting them on here and drawing the characters. So tune in on Wednesday for that Russell episode, on Thursday for the Greg episode, and I've got a YouTuber that's coming onto my show on the 28th for a double hitter episode. It's going to be really fun. All I'm going to say for the hint for that is 3-piece no biscuit, big boy damage. If you know who that is and you can post it on my Facebook and tell me who the guest is, I will give you a free digital screensaver. I'm excited about it. But check us out. Follow all that social media that I have posted up there. That's easy to see and grab. And we'll catch you at the next one.